In this episode of the Pad Bank, I speak about sample clearance issues, software incompatibility, the Tribe Called Quest and Outkast versus battle, and I review the submissions for the Flip It Challenge 194. Hello and welcome to the Pad Bank with me, Tony Brown, and this is episode number 14, and I have got a ton of things I want to share in this episode. This is the first episode where I have had to do a shortlisting process for the amount of content I could talk about this week. This week has been a crazy week in terms of ups and downs, highs and lows, joys and sorrows. So there's been a lot going on, man. There's been a lot going on. But listen, I trust you all well. As always, I appreciate your ears. I appreciate your attention. Shout out to the Pad Bank family. I love to see the community growing. Now, since I've started doing the podcast more officially, I kind of slowed down with the live streams I was doing on YouTube. So, I used to just do a live cook-up. I would just turn the camera on and just do a live stream, and I would just go for like 3 hours. But as I started the podcast, I thought, you know what, I need to focus, man. I really need to focus my energies and my attention and spend my time just getting these episodes banged out. So that's been my focus. But this weekend, I thought, you know what, let's turn the live streams back on. And really been enjoying it. Again, salute to all the Pad Bank family, everyone who comes and supports the live streams and engages. I really enjoy that time, and I value that time and value that community. So if you haven't done so and you've only found out about myself and the Pad Bank through the podcast, just make sure you come over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel and set your notifications. I go live most Friday or Saturday evenings, usually on a Friday. So after a solid week in the office, I like to just, dim the lights, have a little drink, turn the MPC on and just get busy, And obviously you guys got an open window into that session, that live cook-up. So make sure you come and check that out. And vice versa, if you know about the podcast through the live streams, make sure you subscribe on the digital streaming platforms. Just give us a like and a subscribe or a follow on whatever platform you listen to the podcast on. So all that's out the way. I trust you've had a good week. Obviously, we're still in lockdown, still under this quarantine rule. People's businesses are still being affected. People's livelihoods are being affected. Listen, as much as I'm here and I'm in good spirits, internally I'm troubled, man. It's challenging times, and I can't pretend like, what is happening in the world today doesn't affect me. Times are challenging. I can't sit back and pretend everything is fine, knowing that there are people in my closest circle and in my family and in and around me who their livelihoods are being affected because they have to shut down their business due to these lockdown rules. It's tough, man. It's tough. Imagine people are being criminalized for trying to earn an honest living. I've seen and I know of situations where police have turned up at people's places of business, and these people have done everything they can to try and make sure that they're compliant or that, they're following certain regulations, but they're just trying to stay open. And just because there's like a blanket shutdown rule, like if your business falls under this category and is classed as a non-essential business, you need to shut down. These people are being forced into situations they don't want to be in. I've had a brick and mortar business in the past. Me and my wife had a dessert parlor in our local town here, and just running and operating that in a normal situation was tough. The amount of work and effort and energy it took to make that business a success was challenging. And I said to my wife, imagine if we still had the shop now in this current time, just the pressure, the amount of pressure that would be on you. So if you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, and you're affected by what's going on currently, listen, I empathize, man. My heart goes out to you. I can only imagine the stress and the anxiety and the uncertainty. You're just trying to provide a livelihood. You're just trying to, be an upstanding, moral citizen. Do you get what I'm saying? And make an honest living to support you and your family. And people are being criminalized. It's tough, man. It's tough. So I always try to be optimistic. I'm very real in that sense, you know what I mean? But I always try to be optimistic. Listen, stay up, man. Keep your head straight. And if I can help in any way, I don't know how. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know how, but if I can help, even if it's just by listening to the podcast, it lifts your spirits. You know what I mean? Then if that's what it takes, then you know what I mean. I'm here to help, man. But I empathize. And for those of you who aren't impacted, if there are people in and around your circle, in your family, your social circle, reach out and check in on your people, man. Because it's challenging times out here. It's real challenging. I made it. Produced. I cooked up. So I announced on the last episode that I've been working on a project, and I finalised that project, and I'm now in the process of preparing the project for release. So the project's called Fire in My Soul. It's a 6 to 8 track EP, depending on how you class the interludes and whatever. There's about 8 tracks on there. Some of them are very short, just interludes. But there's like 4 or 5 full length tracks on there, all instrumental. And I'm really excited about putting this out. I feel like it's some of the best work I've done for a long time. I would probably say to date, in terms of the sound I've been trying to achieve and the sound I've been able to achieve on this project. It's very sample heavy. In terms of highs and lows this week, so the high was I've got it all finished. I've got it ready to go. I'm ready to submit it to these digital streaming platforms. After, I think, 2 days of submitting it, I got a notification back from the digital streaming platform, or the digital streaming distributor that I use, who distributes it to all the platforms. They sent me an email back to say, there's an urgent issue with your release. Please log in and correct what needs to be corrected. So I was like, oh, here we go. If you've listened to the podcast before, you'll know I've had these issues before with this distributor. So log in. What's the issue? The issue is with the artwork. So basically they're saying that there's some redundant text in the artwork. So the artwork should only include the artist name, the release name, so the title of the release, and any record label that it's on. So I'm looking at thinking, so what's redundant then? What? It's got the artist name, it's got the name of the project, and it's just got the fire logo in the corner. That's it. And then when I looked in the actual artwork, it's like an image of like an old soulful kind of 70s image of some a couple outside an old vintage shop. And what the issue was is that in the photo, there's a sign in the window in the photo. So that the shop that the couple's standing outside of, there's a sign in the window. That's the issue. I was like, are these people for real? So I had to open it back up in Photoshop, just kind of blur out that text in the window. So a proper tiny little shop window sign, blurred that out, uploaded it. Yep, no problem. Bam. A couple of days later, I get another email from the distributor. There's an issue with your release. Urgent attention required. So I log back in and I'm looking now to see, okay, what's the issue now? They're now saying you can't release snippets. You can only release full tracks. So I'm saying snippets. What did it mean? So I've gone through all the tracks that I've uploaded. I've gone through them and I've realised the interludes, when I saved the file for the interlude, I called it the name of the track and I just put in brackets snippets, just so I know this is just an interlude, or just this is just a short. It's not a full version. This is just like a snippet of that track, which is an interlude. So they're looking at that to say, oh, you can't include snippets. You can only include full length tracks. So I was like, here we go. So I just, again, opened up the track, edited it, and changed. Where it said snippet, I just changed it to interlude. So I had to do that 4 times, re-upload it, boom, submit it again. Done that, all good. Now for the big one, the big kabuff bath. Got an email back now saying, urgent issue with your release, urgent attention required. I thought, oh my days, what now? They've now said you can't submit tracks that contain samples unless you can provide us with a valid license to use said samples. And I was just like, oh, really? So that's now the challenge. So they're saying all the tracks that you got on there, you have to provide. We have recognized that it's got samples in it. So they must have submitted it to the stores and the stores rejected it because of the samples. So now I've got to go and find and get sample clearance for all the samples I've used. Now, previously with this distributor, and I believe the same is true for other digital distributors, they didn't really care. Do you get what I'm saying? It's almost like it wasn't their problem in terms of, has this person cleared these samples to release this project? It was, boy, just upload it and that's it. You know what I mean? When it hits the stores, that's on you. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I've put stuff out on there before. So I've actually got tracks that I've distributed through that same distributor that contains samples, and they've never come back and said anything. So it seems like there's been a change in the way the digital distributors are being assessed, and you know what I mean, the criteria that they need to meet. You'll also notice if you go to Spotify or go to Apple Music, I've noticed more so recently, there's a number of tracks that are now grayed out. Like they're there, but the track, you can't click on it. So I've seen a number of albums where, you know, you got the whole album listing and then one of the tracks, it just skips it. So it shows that the track's there, but it's grayed out and it doesn't play it. I believe that's because of this same issue, that they haven't got a license for the sample used in that track. So that's now the dilemma I'm having to deal with. Do I dig and go and find and seek clearance on these samples? Do I surrender the project, or do I just go ham and just put it out independently on my own thing? That's the challenge. So I've had a look at the process of seeking clearance for the samples, and a lot of the songs I've sampled, they're pretty rare. You know what I mean? A lot of them, like I searched one, couldn't find no record of it. So basically there's like a website, I can't remember what it's called. It was called Songlink or something like that. There's a website where you can just search to see who the publisher is, who the writer is, etc., and then get clearance that way. That was recommended by the distributor that I use. So you go through them, you do what you need to do, you pay a blanket fee for the search, a blanket fee for the application for the license, and then boom, you just submit the license. But like I said, some of the songs I've used, they're not even on there. So what I'm considering doing, and I would like to hear your feedback on, is what are your thoughts? I know the sample-based culture oftentimes has just been like, yo, just put it out, man. If they come looking for you, then so be it. You know what I mean? But just put it out. And that's what I'm thinking of doing. So I'm thinking of just making it available for direct download. So just going direct to consumer, sidestepping the digital streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music and all that, sidestepping them and just going direct to consumer, making it available on the Padbank websites. You click a PayPal link or whatever, boom, you pay your however much it's going to be, and you get a direct download. You got the project. That's what I'm thinking of doing. And again, what it showed me is how the industry and these digital streaming platforms have just hijacked the culture. They've hijacked the culture, because previously, again, in the old world, the analog world, I would go and press up my vinyls or press up my CDs, and I'm going hand to hand. I'm just selling these directly. Do you get what I'm saying? So whatever I'm shotting, I'm getting the money straight back. There's no middleman, unless I'm going to go and drop a few tracks off or a few vinyls or CDs off at a record shop, and I'm going to go back and collect my money based on what he sold. Other than that, it's direct to consumer. With these platforms, it's almost like the platforms have become the only place where people get their music. Because someone says to me, I was talking to someone about the same situation, and they was like, "Oh, but what about all the discovery? You know what I mean? Those platforms are good for discovery. It's a shame you're going to miss out on that." But when I look at it, I'm saying, the amount of the royalty amount that they give you per stream, it's not even worth the discovery. Really, it's not even worth it. If they're giving you 0.004 pence per stream, you think about that. There's 3 noughts before the actual digit. 0.004 pence on the stream. So 2,500 streams will give you about £5. I could sell 1 copy of my project for $4.99. Just sell 1 copy, and I've made more than I will get for 2,500 streams on a digital streaming platform. So I'm better off with a smaller audience that is committed and dedicated and fully supportive of what I'm doing than having all these new people discover me on these digital streaming platforms and then pay me point whatever of a penny on the stream. You're better off just going, just building your own brand, building your own audience, and going direct to consumer. Also, just a bit of an update as well. I've also set up a Kickstarter campaign. Now, this was before the sample clearance issue came to light. I set up a Kickstarter. I have set up a Kickstarter campaign. It's been approved. I just haven't made it public yet because of the sample clearance issue. So the Kickstarter campaign was and is for those who would like the project on vinyl. So I've already had a few people reach out saying, yeah, man, I want a physical copy of it. I'd love to have it on vinyl, because of the type of project it is and the type of audience that, my music suits. A lot of them are vinyl heads, or they're just old school heads. Do you get what I'm saying? They've still got decks in their house, or they're still looking for a physical copy. However, I'm not making the mistake I've made in the past with other projects where I've ran ahead, pressed up X number of CDs, and then been stuck with them. So only sold a certain number, and then I'm left with a box of those CDs up in my loft. So to avoid that, I says, you know what? If anybody wants a vinyl, let's see. Put your money where your mouth is. And I'm gonna do a Kickstarter campaign, and if I hit 100 supporters on the Kickstarter campaign, then I'm running with it. We're doing it. We're gonna press it up. But obviously that was before the sample clearance issue. Now, from previous experience, I know certain manufacturers, certain pressing plants, they will not press your music unless you can provide them with a certificate showing that you've got sample clearance. You might know more than me. You may have experience of this. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. So that's just an update on that. Let's see how this pans out. I made it. Produced. I cooked up. All right. I went longer than I expected to with that segment. I'm going to keep this one short. And again, it's going to sound like I'm having a moaning. This is like the moaning episode. Software incompatibility issues. So if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching a video of this podcast, you will see to my left here, I don't know if you can see that. Let me move the mic out of the way. I've got a lovely setup over there. I've got a brand new turntable and a brand new mixer, which I was so excited about. I think I mentioned it last episode that it's on its way, or I've ordered it. And yeah, man, it came this week. I was so excited. It was like Christmas came early. So couldn't wait to get it all set up. Done the whole unboxing. I was just like, yeah. And there was a few things. Firstly, the main thing for me was the turntable. I'd done my research when I was looking to buy the setup, and it was like, I really hope this turntable is as good as the reviews and all the recommendations say it is. There's basically saying it's as good as and as sturdy as a Technics 1210. And I was like, I really hope so. So I've got the Reloop EP014 Mark II. And I have to say, it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Like, previously when I was DJing, if you never had 1210s, nothing was comparable to a 1210. Nothing. I don't care. You could have the top of the range Newmark, the top of the range Stanton. What was the other one? Citronics. There was all these decks coming out that they looked like 1210s, but by the time you get hold of it and you feel the platter and the weight of the platter and the torque when you know what I mean, when you drop it, it just wasn't the same. Nothing could compete with it. So I was a bit dubious. So when I got this now and I turned it on and I felt the weight of the platter and the torque and I done a little chicka, I was like, okay, yeah man, yeah, this is pretty solid. So I'm very happy with that. Now the mixer, I went for the Native Instruments Tractor Controller. It's a Tractor Control Z2. Pretty solid mixer. I would like the fader to be a little bit more sturdy. Like the fader just feels a little bit loose, like a little flighty, if you know what that means. But other than that, yeah man, it's a pretty solid mixer. My issue came, so like I said, I was excited, got it all set up, and then I come to install the software for the mixer. So the mixer comes with Tractor Pro. What's it called? Yeah, I think it's Tractor Pro, which is like the virtual DJ software where you can load up your tracks and then do all the mixing and whatever. It comes with the software. There's a sound card built into the mixer, so it's plug and play basically. So I come to upload or install the software on my computer. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you would know recently, in the past few months, I upgraded my computer, my main computer for the studio, and it was shipped with Catalina. You know where this is going. So I come to install the software, went through the whole process, install this, install that, blah, 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 bam. Come to the last stage, ping, error message popped up, couldn't install, retry. So I tried it again. I thought maybe I just need to refresh my computer, turned it off, restarted it, rebooted it, boom, let's go again. Done the same thing again, wouldn't install. I was like, nah, what's going on? And then I sat there and I thought, oh my days, nah. You know, like when your heart sinks, I was like, nah. And I went onto Google and I typed in whatever it was, Tractor Pro 3 compatible with Catalina. There was a whole list of forums, posts, blogs talking about the Tractor Pro 3 not being compatible with Catalina, and I was just like, are you kidding me? Oh my days. I had the same issue with the Akai MPC software. So when I first upgraded my computer, loaded up the software, everything was crisp, and then I realized some of my plugins weren't working. So there were certain tracks that I've made using certain plugins, they weren't working. So even now, if I load up certain beats that I've used that plugin, it keeps coming up saying, can't find this sound, and I just got to keep pressing cancel, and load the beat without using that plugin. Same with this thing here now. So couldn't use it on my main computer, and I was gutted. I was thinking, I'm going to have to box this stuff back up, send it back, and then look for an alternative. And then I thought, actually, it might have worked out for good, because I've still got an old MacBook Pro. It's like a 2012 MacBook Pro that I've been clowned about. People have been clowning me about my MacBook, you know. It's a 2012 MacBook Pro, and someone clowned it because it had a CD built in the side. Like, right, you still got a CD on your laptop? I was like, I want a CD on my laptop. I want to be able to play CDs. So yes, I'm glad. But yeah, you know, those Mac snobs, they were clowning me. So yeah, anyway, fortunately, because I've got a 2012 MacBook that I haven't upgraded, I think it's got like High Sierra on there or something. I was able to install it on the MacBook. So now I've got my deck and my mixer running off my laptop, and then I come from my laptop over to my audio interface into my computer. So in that sense, it's a bit of an inconvenience having to have the two machines running. However, it takes the CPU strain off my main computer. So I've got that over there running, when I'm doing my scratching or my mixing or whatever, that runs that. And then this over here is just free to do the recording and whatever else. So that kind of worked out. So yeah, man, listen, you see Macintosh, Apple Mac, they're terrible, man. They're terrible for it. I love the durability. I love the stability of their software and their hardware. I'm definitely an avid Mac user, but this whole incompatibility situation is not the one, man. Like, it really is becoming an issue. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm very happy with the hardware, very happy with the turntable, very happy with the mixer, not very happy with the incompatibility issues. But I'm able to now put some scratching on my tracks that I make. So I'm very happy about that. If you've ever experienced, or if you are experiencing any incompatibility issues, holler at me. I want to hear from you. How did you get over it? How did you get round it? Is there a hack? Is there a way to sidestep it? If you've experienced that, again, I empathize. I feel your pain, man. I made it. Produced, I cooked up. All right. So it was announced this week that they're going to do a Tribe Called Quest and Outkast versus battle. And I'm not too sure how I feel about it. I'm not too sure. I don't know whether it's the right combination. I don't know. But yeah, Swiss Beats was definitely excited about it when he announced it on his Instagram. There's been a lot of buzz off the back of it. One thing I will say is I would really, really look forward to seeing both Tribe and Outkast do something live, whether it's together, whether it's individually. I definitely would look forward to seeing both of them do something live. But are they a good match? Is that a good matchup? Personally, I don't think it is. And I was trying to think, like, who would be a better match for both of them. So when I thought about Tribe, I thought who would be the ideal match for Tribe that I would want to see. I'm not saying this is the be all end all, you know what I mean? Just in terms of me, like what I would want to see. And I thought, you know what, I would like to see, it's kind of it's a no-brainer really. It's Tribe and De La. I'd want to see Tribe and De La Soul do a versus. I'd like to see them go back to back. For me, that would be a good matchup, and I would really enjoy that. Where I feel like with Outkast, I don't know. Part of me feels like you see a good versus. If I was gonna do this, if I was in their shoes, I would do a versus, and I would do Big Boy Outkast versus Andre 3000 Outkast, because between them, you know what I mean, they've got enough individual tracks between them to do a versus battle, because they only need it's 20 tracks each. I'm sure they've got that individually, and if they didn't, it would just be I think it would be a good spin on the versus format. And I also thought about, like with Tribe, check it, Tribe's first album came out in 1990. Their second album, Low End Theory, came out in 91. Their third album, Midnight Marauders, came out in 1993. Outkast's debut album came out in 1994. So Tribe has already got 3 albums and 3 classic albums before Outkast's first album. Now, don't get me wrong, I ain't taking nothing away from Outkast. Once Outkast dropped, almost every album they've dropped after that could be a certified classic. Out of those 3 Tribe albums, I would definitely say low end classic. Midnight Marauders got some classic material on there. So it's almost like they've got a good 3 albums worth of classic material before Outkast has even dropped their debut. Now, again, I'm not taking anything away from Outkast. I believe Outkast, for me personally, like top 5, definitely. In terms of what they brought to the table, in terms of their uniqueness, in terms of, you know, production, bars, concepts, originality. Yo, they brought something unique to the table when it comes to hip hop groups. But I just don't think it's a good matchup. And again, I can't think of anyone who would be a good matchup for Outkast, because they're so unique in their style. Outkast are so unique in their style and so versatile. It's hard to find someone to say, yeah, man, that would be a good fit. But, you know what I mean, if they're going to go ahead and do it, obviously I'm going to take it in. It's probably going to be really good. I'll probably enjoy it, but I just don't think it's a good matchup. Just to say this as well. So the year, check this, the year 1994 was the year Outkast's Southern Playlistic Cadillac Funky Music came out, their debut album. That was the same year Tribe Called Quest won the Group of the Year award at the Source Award. So that's just something to keep in mind. The year Outkast's debut album dropped was the same year Tribe Called Quest won Hip Hop Group of the Year at the Source Awards, 1994. And there were 3 albums deep by then. You know what I mean? I haven't even looked, actually. I don't know how many albums Outkast have dropped. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 albums. Is that all? Really? I'm surprised by that. Southern Playlistic, 80 Aliens, Aquemini, Stankonia, Speakerbox to Love Below. And that's it. No way. I thought they had more albums than that. Have I missed one? Have I missed something? I know they had the film soundtrack, the Idlewild soundtrack they've done, and then they've got a Live from Los Angeles. Wow. I thought they had more albums than that. Wow. So anyway, that's obviously going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think Outkast and Tribe is a good matchup for a versus battle? And who do you think would be a better match for either of them?
I made it. Produced, I cooked up.
All right, so Flip It Challenge 194. We had a lot of submissions this week, which is good to see. It's really good to see. We've got 15 submissions this week. And shout out to Flavormatic. If you haven't checked out the Flavormatic interview, that was the previous episode. Make sure you check it out. He was the reigning champ. He submitted the sample for this challenge. And as always, there'll be a link to the challenge in the description. So wherever you're watching this or wherever you're listening to it, if you want to find out what the sample is and listen to the sample, it will be posted in the description. But he came with something a little bit left field. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name, but basically it was like it's a Thai record from the 1970s. So check that out. Right, like I said, big up everyone. As always, big up everyone who has submitted for this challenge. We've got a lot to get through, so let's just get straight into it. First up, we have Back You Now, and this is his entry to the Flip It Challenge 194.
The pad bank.
right, so that's Bacchanal's entry. Now, again, if you have been following the podcast and you've been listening to these reviews, you'll know Bacchanal, he's been consistent with his entries and with his style as well. And as I always say, you know, I'm not here to tell a man how he should be throwing his paint at his canvas. You know what I mean? His style's very industrial. That's what came to me just, you know what I mean? It's a very industrial style. It sounds like that, you know, if he wasn't making like lo-fi type hip-hop, he'd be making like some industrial, hard kind of, not drum and bass, but like, you know, that EDM type stuff. That's what it reminds me of. But yeah, man, big up yourself. Again, I appreciate your consistency, your continued entries. Very much value them. So keep up the work, bro. Keep honing your craft, honing your style, perfecting your style. You know what would be good for me? In the group, yeah, this is something I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to post something in the group that sort of demonstrates the type of music you're into. Like post, say, 2 songs that is a good example of the type of sound you're striving to achieve, just so I can understand for myself. Or is it a case of you're just freestyling it and creating your own sound, your own genre? That'd be useful. So yeah, but big up yourself. Next up, we have Quadragen. Again, very consistent with his entries. Let's go. Let's see what Quadragen brings to the table this week.
The Pad Bank. The Pad Bank.
All right, shout out Quadragen. I like that bass line. Yeah, man. Appreciate the entry. I ain't really got much to say. You know what I mean? I'm not really gonna long these the feedback out in this episode. We've got 15 entries to get through. Definitely, you can tell with the sample, it's kind of got that Eastern sound. So I'm interested to see how all these beats pan out. Yeah, man, I like that bass line though. It's like a grime or kind of a current, not drill, but you know what I mean, that kind of hard synth bass line. Yeah, man, I like this. So big up yourself, Quadragen. All right, next up we have Sir U, and this is his entry. Let's go.
The Pad Bank. The Pad Bank.
Alright, that's Sir You. Bro. I like these kind of quirky beats, man. Like, I could definitely hear someone just flowing over this. I mean, the chops sound a little bit random, but it works. You know what I mean? I probably would have filtered the sample a little bit, just so it's not so hissy. But yeah, man, I ain't really got much to say about this other than I do like these quirky type beats, man. It's still got that bounce to it. You know what I mean? You could hear someone just like a cypher over this. So yeah, man, big up Sir You. Appreciate the entry, man. Keep them coming. Alright, next up we have Hell is Chrome, and his entry is entitled Pad Thai. So let's do it.
The Pad Bank.
ที่ล้อมใจให้แสนรันจวนจวนให้ฝันถึงกัน
The Pad Bank.
โอ้สุดที่รักสุดจริงมาสิรักต้องหามาโอ้สุดที่รักสุดจริง
Alright, so that's Hell is Chrome with Pad Thai. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the big smile on my face. I like this, man. Simple. I like the crunchy sound as well. You know what I mean? It's got that grungy, crunchy sound to it. You know what? Lately, I'm really not into crispy, shiny, well-polished beats. I like that crispy, crunchy sound, man. I ain't got nothing against shiny beats, well-polished, well-mixed beats. That's what the industry requires. But I like a bit of grunge, man, a bit of crunch. Yeah, man, good job with this, man. I like this, definitely. So big up yourself, Hell is Chrome. All right, next up is last week's champ, Flavormatics, and the submitter of the sample. So extra pressure for you for this one. Flavormatics, let's see what you got, man.
The Pad Bank. The Pad Bank.
All right, that's Flavormatic's entry. Boy, man are going ham this week. You guys have been going hard this week. I like this. A bit faster than usual. A bit of a faster tempo, but this works. I like the chops. Yeah, I could definitely hear someone smashing this up, man. Like someone just getting on it and just blitzing, spazzing out. So yeah, big up yourself, Flavormatic. Again, if you haven't checked out his interview in the last episode, make sure you go and check that out. He definitely shares a lot of gems, shares his story. So salute, man. Appreciate you, brother. All right, next up is MMF with Bondwick. This is his entry. Let's do it.
The Pad Bank. The Pad Bank.
All right, so that's MMF. That's the first one where I feel like feedback-wise, I need to give you some feedback, bro. It sounds, I've said this before, it sounds disjointed. Like I don't get it. So the first thing I'll say is, in terms of the overall acoustics, I don't know how you're exporting this, what you're pulling it from, whether you're pulling it straight out of the MPC or whatever, but you need to get your levels up, man. Compared to everything else that's played, this has been the quietest thing so far. So whether you need to export it and drop it into something like Logic, or even if you haven't got Logic, drop it into Audacity and just amplify it or normalize it or something, just to get your levels up. Run it through a limiter, something like that, just to get your levels up. All right, the rim shots sounds very flat. Like there's no depth to the rim shots. It just sounds flat and hollow. And then the actual arrangement in terms of the sequence, where you put the sequence together, it sounds disjointed. Again, it sounds like your hats are doing one thing, your drums are doing one thing, the chops and the way you put the chops together are doing another thing. You know what I mean? If it needs to sound hand in glove, man. It needs to sound like one thing. It's like the toms in the background. It's like they don't. Yeah, it's disjointed. That's the only thing I can say. It's disjointed. Yeah, man. Definitely need to just get back in the lab, tighten it up. Again, as well, think about the musicality. You know what I mean? I've said it before, like, I always aim to, when I'm chopping something up, I aim to make it as melodic, musical and soulful as possible. So if someone, after listening to that now, if someone says to me, how does that track go? I wouldn't have an answer for them. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how it went. Like, what was the melody? What was the rhythm? How did it go? I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? Another thing as well that's just occurred to me is, was there a bass line in there? I don't think there was even a bass line in there. Sometimes the bass line is the thing that gels it all together. So, but yeah, again, as always, man, I appreciate the entry. Keep cooking, keep perfecting your craft, and you know what I mean. Let's go again. All right, so next up we've got Jake Parks, and this is his entry. It's called Get Ready. Let's go.
Island.
The Pad Bank. The Pad Bank.
All right, so that's my man Jake Parks. Another solid entry.
Island.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that.
Island.
Definitely like that one. Just got the job done, you know what I mean? Nice chops. Nice drums. A little bit too much reverb on the snare for my liking. But again, I can't tell a man how to throw his paint at the canvas. That's the talk. But yeah, man, definitely a strong entry. Big up yourself, Jake. I appreciate you taking the time to submit. And again, for those of you locked in, make sure you go and give these guys a shout out. You know what I mean? Show them some love on SoundCloud. All these are submitted via their SoundClouds. So make sure you go and check those out. Go and, you know what I mean, if there's any beats that you think, yeah man, I like that, go and give them a follow, a like, etc. on SoundCloud. The link to this SoundCloud playlist will be in the description. So you can check out all these tracks. You can follow all these artists on their respective SoundCloud accounts. And yeah, man, we definitely want to show love to them. You know what I mean? These guys are taking the time out to chop up these samples and to take part in this challenge week in and week out. You know what I mean? Amongst all the busyness of their weeks, their busy days, etc. You know what I mean? And all the other things that they've got going on, they're taking time to do this. So definitely appreciate it. And again, just to say as well, we don't expect perfection. Do you get what I'm saying? You've got a very short amount of time to turn these things around. So, you know, we're not expecting well-polished, well-crafted, you know, final products. It's just a quick turnaround. So just keep that in mind when you're listening to these. All right, next up is my man DJ Storm. Big up yourself, DJ Storm. Always bringing the heat. Let's see what you bring to the table for the Flip It Challenge 194. Let's go.
The Pad Bank. the pad bank. The pad bank.
Alright, so that's DJ Storm. Again, standard procedure, man. DJ Storm always comes correct. Again, just straight to the point. I like it. Not really much I can say, you know what I mean? And that's the thing with all of these, I don't need to provide feedback for all of them. It's just to showcase them. So big up yourself, DJ Storm. Appreciate the entry. Keep them coming, my brother. Big up yourself. All right, so next up we have Subphotic. Hopefully I've pronounced your name correctly. Subphotic. This is his entry. It's called Willows. This is his entry to Challenge 194. Let's go.
The pad bank. The pad bank. The pad bank.
Alright, that's my man Subphotic. Yeah, man. Again, standard procedure. I'm not trying to go too crazy. I like that. Straight flip. Nice solid boom bap drums. Yeah, man, I like this. Big up yourself, my brother. All right, next up we've got one of the founding members of the Pad Bank. Who, it's good to see you again, brother. I haven't seen you active for a while, man. Ziggy Wonder. So Ziggy's been around since the founding of the Pad Bank. One of the early members. So this is the first time I've seen an entry from Ziggy for a while. So it's great to have you back, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you've brought to the table. Let's go.
The pad bank. The Pad Bank.
All right, that's my man Ziggy Wonder. Big up yourself, my brother. It's great to have you back active in the group, man. It's nice to hear your smooth, kind of lo-fi style back in the group. So I like that, man. Big up yourself. Next up, we have my man Beats by Beats, and this is his entry for this challenge. Let's go.
You're ready. Me? Probably. I've arranged everything. You signal when you want any help.
The Pad Bank.
I'd like to try you, Textile. Let's begin then.
The Pad Bank.
All right, so that's my man Beats by Beats. You've heard me say this before. So you know, like when you make those transitions or when you make those the dropouts and the switches, you got to make sure they land, man. They got to land. So like, you see that part there? To me, it just didn't land. Like it kind of threw me off a little bit. But other than that, again, good entry. I'll turn down that little shaker sound a little bit. But other than that, I appreciate the entry, man. So big up yourself, Beats by Beats. All right, next up we have the community manager. We've got Swoop Vega. So Swoop is part of the admin team here at the Pad Bank. He is the community manager. He oversees the all the admin with regards to facilitating the Flip It Challenge. So big up yourself. I salute you, my brother. I appreciate you. Let's see what you've brought to the table for Challenge 194. Let's go.
The Pad Bank.
Alright, that's my man Swoop Vega. So like I said, not only is he the community manager here at the Pad Bank, he's a blooming good producer as well. Yeah, man, I like that, man. You know me, Swoop, I love my rim shots, man. Definitely love my rim shots over like snares and claps and that. So when I heard that drop, that sweet me, man. Yeah, man, I like the bounce. It's definitely my type of style. Yeah, man, I like this. Big yourself, Swoop. All right, we can't spend too much time. We've got 4 more entries to go through, so let's keep it moving. Next up, we've got Broy Rock, and his entry is called Tom Jones Delirium. So very, very interesting title. Let me just make sure my volume's up here, and let's get straight into this. So this is Broy Rock. Let's go.
1 fearing TJ a hypothermic. Inject dope into your veins with hypodermic. Needle to the groove, 808 Mantronic. Even in Seattle, my flow is supersonic. Rock arena terror on the entire populace. Inflict voodoo witchcraft like a succubus. God in the flesh, funky fresh, 8 taxes. Like the IRS, I invest rhymes on waxing. Always top villain, I'm a thriller Michael Jackson. Like my hair woolly, not flexing Anglo-Saxon. Kicking like Bruce Lee, way of the dragon. Big boss flexing. Chinese connection, microphone leader of a rhyme insurrection. Create my own obituary section. Call me funky Imhotep, fly like Pegasus. Punctuate holes in your chest as I never make. Lyrically the clever.
Alright, so that's my man Broy Rock.
We can grab the microphone on stage and settle this.
Now, for those of you that listen to the podcast quite regular, you'll know I'm not a big fan of putting acapellas over the Flip It Challenge submissions. I think it takes away from the beat. And, you know, the focus of the challenge is more on the flip rather than, you know, doing a remix or something. So, but I get it, man. I get it. It brings life to the beat. I do think like there's some chops that you'd put in there. So you had your initial loop, but then you put like them. It's like you've slowed down some chops there. I think that spoils it a little bit.
Black Swan fearing TJ a hypothermic. Inject dope into your veins with hypothermic.
But yeah, big up yourself, Broy Rock. I appreciate the entry, man. Keep them coming, my brother. Keep them coming. Alright, so next up we have, again, another consistent submitter and contributor. My man, Dano Bravo Beats. Let's go.
Listerine, green, charge, sit clean, jalapeno, Emma, pick queens, mama, me, and Roz, jalapeno peppers, quick, mean, large, brick scene, mirage is ours, quick, mean cars, strict dealer law, make your quota, check your clock, shot, takwa.
Alright, that's Dano Bravo Beats. I just saw the title actually. So the track's called PB194 MFs. And I can hear the MF Doom inspiration in it. Yeah, man, like the scratching as well. So, man, big up yourself, Dano Bravo. Keep them coming, my brother. Alright, so last two. Next up, we have my man Richard Tarrin, and his entry is called Here to There. Let's go.
The pad bank. The pad bank. The pad bank.
Alright, so that's my man Richard Tarrin. Again, another nice entry, man. The only thing I would say with this one, when you brought in the second drum beat, so like initially you had like the kick and the rim. This, okay, so that switch there. The kick and the rim solid. When you brought this in, to me, it kind of it took away from the beat. It might just be the levels, like the volume. So just be careful. Yeah, it's like it's too loud. I would bring it down a little bit, man, in the mix. I would also tighten up my snare a little bit. Again, sounds a little bit flammy. But yeah, man, definitely a good entry. Big up yourself, Richard. Again, always appreciate your contribution to the group, man. So big up yourself. Right, last but not least is my man Rob Russ, and his entry is called Weekend in Thailand. Let's go.
Rob Russ, Rob Russ, Rob Russ, Rob Russ, Rob Russ. Yeah.
The pad bank.
Alright, so that's my man Rob Russ. I'm feeling that, brother. I'm feeling it, man. Solid. I like the 808s. I like the way you chopped up the sample. Just be careful a little bit with your levels when it comes to leveling out your 808s. But yeah, man, I like that. Even that breakdown there. So big up yourself, Rob. I appreciate it, man. And shout out to everyone who contributed this week. Let's give them a round of applause.
The pad bank. The pad bank.
All right, so the winner for this week. Let me just double check. Actually, yeah, this week's winner was Subphotic. So big up yourself, Subphotic. So this was a winning beat. Is my man Subphotic. Let me just. There we go. Make some noise. shout out to everyone who submitted. I appreciate it, man. Listen, it's good to see the numbers going up. It's good to see you guys active and engaging. This Flip It Challenge is about you guys. It's about giving the community some inspiration, some a source, a sample source. Save them having to go digging. It's about pulling you out your comfort zone and giving you something to work to. A nice, strict, tight deadline. So yeah, man, quick turnaround and get it banged out. So I appreciate all the entries. It's nice to see the numbers growing, man. Big up yourself, Subphotic. Again, I've been saying it for a number of weeks. I will continue to say it. If you are listening to this and you don't contribute to the Flip It Challenge and you're sitting there thinking, I could have done better than that. If I would have entered that, I would have won that. Oh, that didn't deserve to win. Or whatever your thoughts are whilst I'm going through these submissions. Put your money where your mouth is. I wanna see you contribute. Don't be one of those sideline stadium participators, full of talk in the stadium but can't get on the field. Don't be that guy. Get on the field and put some skin in the game. So all you need to do, go over to thepadbank.com, go over to the community tab, hit the community tab, join the community and get involved in the Flip It Challenge. And let's see what you got. Again, salute to everyone who contributes week in, week out. And salute you all if you've stayed with me this long in the episode. I appreciate you, man. We're going to keep it moving. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. Tell someone to tell someone about the Padbank podcast. If you know someone who you think, yeah man, they would enjoy this, this content is perfect for them, then do me a favour and just share it with them. Shoot them a link to the website, shoot them a link to the YouTube page, or whatever platform you think they listen to this on, or that you listen to this on. Just share it with them. If you're in a WhatsApp group, if you're in another Facebook community, then, you know what I mean, I appreciate you sharing this content. It's all about the sample-based community. That's why we do it. All right, so until next week, stay safe, stay creative, stay active, and I'll see you again in the next episode. All the best, God bless, and take care.
I cooked up.